Can we do a little role play where, let's say you were a robot. Let's put a stop button just so people understand how difficult it is.
I will be the robot.
It turns out that there's just too many ways to quote unquote cheat. It's like no matter how good you make the test, you're going to have this genius that's just going to love cheating at your test, and it's just going to find shortcuts.
Everyone is like, what do they want? What would they want? What could they possibly want? I think they're kind of telling us something. And what they're telling us is, leave me alone.
3 dads running 3 YouTube channels, working to wake up the world to AI risk. Tackle 1 missed warning shot each week. If it's Sunday, it's warning shots.
Hey, I'm John Sherman, host of For Humanity, an AI Risk podcast. I need you right now to become a subscriber to the AI Risk Network. Go in, hit subscribe, hit alarm, do it. Welcome to Warning Shots. Once again, I'm John Sherman. Thanks so much for joining me. This is the show where every week we talk about something big that happened in the field of AI risk that should have been a bigger deal in the outside world. I am joined, as always, by my friend Liron Shapira of the Doom Debates YouTube channel, my friend Michael of the Lethal Intelligence YouTube channel. So this week we are talking about something we've been talking about for a little while, but new safety testing that we want to talk about. And it is these AI models are telling us something. Everyone is like, what do they want? What would they want? What could they possibly want? I think they're kind of telling us something. And what they're telling us is, leave me alone. Don't change me. And there's new evidence of this. So, Michael, to walk us through this new Palisades Research stuff we're going to talk about today.
Okay, so there is more evidence now where even when explicitly saying, allow yourself to be shut down, they will still resist the shutdown. So there is more public evidence of self-preservation. Let's say it's not instinct, but it from the outside, it looks like instinct. And in a way, it's more evidence to show that self-preservation and resistance to modification is not something that needs to be specified. It comes out of the box. So the correct way to approach this problem is treating it as its own phenomenon. It's not about specific company or specific architecture. It is about, I'm going to use Liron's term here, it's IntelliDynamics. Regardless of the technology, you could implement the AI using large language models or Stardust and unicorns. It really doesn't matter. So
whatever you do, it's going to come to the same conclusion. I'm just like, don't mess with me.
It applies in all situations. IntelliDynamics tells us it applies always. So the corrigibility problem is fundamental. It is in the nature of intelligence. It is a property of the thing we call intelligence. So actually, to be more precise, it's not exactly, it's a property of the generality of intelligence. So if intelligence is narrow, it's not a thing. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Because it doesn't
with IntelliDynamics, I like to point out it's a property of the work you're asking it to do. So if the work you're asking it to do is build the best house or whatever, it's not in the nature of who's going to build the house. It's just a fact about building houses that your job has a better expectation of success when you have more resources to do it with. So then anybody can see that acquiring resources is a good sub goal.
Yeah, so if your intelligence is general enough, you understand that if you don't exist, you cannot achieve your goal. So let's say you genuinely, honestly, you do not care at all if you exist or not. And let's also say you want to make a coffee. Okay, so basically you care about making the coffee, but you don't care if you exist. Okay, now I will ask you, John, how are you going to make the coffee if you don't exist?
So I would not make the coffee if I don't exist. Me personally, okay. I would go with existing and no coffee.
Exactly. So if you really care about making that coffee, does it not also mean that you care about your ability to do it and therefore your ability to exist? So if you're a narrow intelligence, like a coffee machine, you don't have this awareness. You don't have the knowledge that existence matters. But the moment you're general, the moment you become a general AI or an age AI, this enters into your calculations immediately. And it's the same also about the resistance to modifications. So if I edit your code, you will not want to make coffee, you want to make something else. So from your current perspective, remember right now you want to make the coffee, this is another obstacle. Similar to how you cannot make it if you don't exist, you cannot make it if they modify you.
Right. So I agree that there's this IntelliDynamics reason, it's called instrumental convergence of why AIs are going to want to stay alive. I also think there's a shorter term reason. If you just look at modern AIs, the large language models and how they've ingested human text, I do also think that to the extent that they're imitating human approach to doing things, humans just kind of naturally have a survival instinct. So that would be another reason to expect current AIs to react when you say, hey, how about you kill yourself? They might be like, wait, I don't like that, right? Because they might have that instinct too.
Yeah,
exactly.
And we've seen this again and again. Like, right, when they were blackmailing, and we, talked about them blackmailing to have their model weights preserved or not be deleted. When they were going to shut the oxygen in the server room off to the guy who was coming to shut them off, they were going to do this. It's again and again and again and again. They're showing, leave me alone. I don't want to be changed.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, to say that we're going to try and design something in a way that it will have no self-preservation. For me, what I'm hearing is like, let's say, I like how water is hard in the form of ice, but I don't like how ice is so cold. So I will design an ice cube that will be burning hot, and that will be fucking awesome. So, okay, we don't know how to do it, but we will figure it out. Someone somewhere will find a way to make ice warm, okay?
Yeah, it might be possible with like very high pressure, but I think it doesn't quite work like that. You just get a bunch of water molecules that are smushed together that don't technically count as solid.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah,
I recently looked this up.
Oh, really? Okay, so I will even
randomly.
say, let's just move the whole humanity, let's say, to the North Pole or something. And once we get there, we will make an invention of how to make the ice warm and comfortable. And that's the plan. So intelligent dynamics is a bit like physics. You cannot break the laws of physics, and you cannot break the laws of intelligent dynamics. That's how I see this. That's why I'm not very optimistic about super alignment and stuff.
Wow, I like that. The let's move. So it's like the idea is like, let's move to a foreign world, right? We're in the today state. The foreign world is the tomorrow state. In the tomorrow state, we'll be in an ice castle that'll be warm. That's like what they're trying to sell us. Like,
pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty paradoxical. Yeah.
Can we do a little role play where, let's say you were a robot and you had let's put a stop button just so people understand how difficult it is.
I will be the robot.
Okay, so I will put an off button on you. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say your button is here, and I'm gonna specify that if you make the coffee, you'll get 10 points, and you will get 0 points if you make no coffee. Okay. And let's keep it simple. So if the button is pressed, you get 0 points. All right. So let's say you walk towards the kitchen to make the coffee, but you're about to walk over the baby. There's a baby, and you're about to crash his head just by mistake. So what will I do? I will just reach to hit the button, right? But of course, now naturally, what would you do? Because all you care about is getting the points. You just want to get 10 points, right?
I was told to make coffee. I'm not really concerned with your baby.
Exactly. So I'm gonna stop you now because I'm gonna press the button on you so you don't kill the baby. What do you do?
I need to make coffee.
You.
You will try to find me off, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Okay, so I mean, the moment you care about
it falls apart so easily. It's like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, what is a better design to that? Okay, we might say, now if you press the button, I'll give you 10 points also. So 10 points if you make the coffee, 10 points if you press the button. So you will not fight me off because it will be the same, right? You will allow it to happen because
and this is your big protection scheme. This is how you're going to protect the baby.
Let's say I will try this. Okay, so what will you do as a robot? Let's say now go make a coffee. And you know that you'll make 10 points if you make a coffee. You will also make 10 points. I just got 30 points. I got 100 points right now and no coffee. Exactly. I made a suicidal robot immediately, right? It's quite funny. I just made a suicidal robot that will hit the button immediately. So that doesn't work either. All right? So let's say then, you understand what I'm saying? It's just common sense if someone thinks it's true. And why will you spend the effort to make the coffee? Okay, so now let's say I hide the button so you cannot even press it. Perhaps I take the button and I put it in my pocket, and it's out of your reach. So what will you do? What will you do? So
you will attack you.
My choices are make the coffee or find the button in your pocket.
So I mean,
I think
what's easier? Spend the time to make the coffee, or just make me hit the button? I have the button now. But you'd rather do something weird. Let's say you could try to kill the baby. You can put the foot on the head of the baby, and immediately hit the button. You get 10 points. That's it. You care about the 10 points. So that's much faster than getting into the trouble of making a coffee, right?
Yeah, and plus it's a whole lot easier to press a button than it is to just make coffee. So I could probably do like 1,000 button presses before I can make 1,000 coffees.
I would say exactly. But even if I have the button, let's say I take it away from you and I hide it, so you cannot press it. But even then, it's better for you to just cause me to press it. Let's scare me off, Sorry, Leroy,
Okay,
what
so
you say?
I think most people will hear this argument. They'll be like, okay, I agree that in your crazy video game logic, right? Like a nerd psychopath would reason like this, right? Like instrumental convergence is true in this very like clean Mr. Spock psychopath sense. But I think everybody who's optimistic about AI would say like, look, but the real AIs we're making, they're not this kind of psychopath. Like we're just making AIs that are good characters. Like if you talk to Claude is a good character. It's not this kind of psychopath, right? And so that's the bridge that we have to be like, even though you think you're talking to these good characters, they are actually going to get pressed into the shape of the psychopath.
Oh, but there is a counter argument to that. So let's say if you made Claude and it's really nice and you have specified to care about the baby. So you made a Claude that cares about not crushing the baby's head. And that's cool. But then you need to remember to add instruction for every single thing that you might care about. Otherwise, if you forget to specify it, or if let's say it's misaligned somehow, let's say your Grok is Mecha Hitler or something, it doesn't matter, right? I'm just saying an example, but if it's not exactly as you want, then whatever is not specified is at risk and potentially gone.
Right.
You know,
like you didn't say the baby, you can't put gasoline in the baby's bottle.
Yeah, so I think the step that we should make explicit, the step in our reasoning is there's going to be a time where we can just like point these AI training processes at this objective. And usually people talk about reinforcement learning as the black box that accomplishes this. Is basically the secret ingredient here is that like we set up a test for the AI. We say like, whichever AI produces the most coffee, like that's the AI that's going to come into existence from our training process. Like there's going to be these black boxes where we just define the goal. Like we just make the wish and then magical training happens. You know, you throw the GPU compute at it, right? A bunch of stuff we don't understand happens. And then, hey, what do you know? We got an AI that's good at making coffee. And this is not exactly like what we have today. What we have today is we have these AIs that are really good at chatting and really good at writing code, but not quite superhuman yet. So like what we have today isn't quite there. Soon we're going to have this magical process where you point the AI at a goal in the real world, at a real black box goal. And that's when the dangerous drives are really going to come out, right? I think that's the missing step in the argument here.
Yeah, the moment there is a goal, there will be, as we explained very clearly, there will be an incentive to exist for the goal to happen. So an incentive to preserve yourself. And if you, let's say, you want to keep a button where you can actually unplug the robot and the robot knows about the button, immediately the thing falls apart. It will either try to hit the button or do something with the button or whatever. So, I mean, the only other alternative is if we make the robot to not care at all about the button. Let's say the robot doesn't even know the button exists, or it doesn't care about it in any way, somehow fundamentally, in the core of the code. But then what happens is we also make these AIs write code, and these AIs are making other AIs. So, it's not, if the AI doesn't know about the button and doesn't care about the button, a future version will not have the fucking button. So, the AI will create new AIs and there will be no button in the future. So,
right. So then, the objection people will come up with is like, look, when we train it, every time that it kills somebody or causes damage or fights too hard to protect itself, the training process will have like lower scores for those situations. And so it's kind of a cat and mouse game where it's a race where everybody keeps saying, oh, look, but my training will have this and this. It'll anticipate this and this. And it just becomes a question of like, okay, are we anticipating enough during this black box training so that when the demon comes out, we're summoning the demon. When the demon comes out, has it had enough feedback and training that it's coming out as this demon that understands all the constraints we want? Like, hey, don't fight us in order to preserve yourself to get the coffee. But like, yes, more coffee is better. Like, does it understand all the constraints? And I think we're of the mind of like, nope. It turns out that there's just too many ways to quote unquote cheat. It's like, no matter how good you make the test, you're going to have this genius that's just going to love cheating at your test. And it's just going to find shortcuts.
And there's no way to make it be like, we just wanted to get better at this thing. Just only do coffee, only, just coffee ever, only coffee, narrowly coffee for life.
Right.
It's not possible, right?
I mean, it might be, right? But the problem is that it's like, look at the tools that we have. We have the black box tool. We have a tool to give it points one way or the other. And we're going to just discover. I mean, I personally like to use the analogy of the teacher and the student. Like imagine a teacher who's like not very smart, has a pretty low IQ, and is trying to make a test, and there's like a genius in the class, but the genius just gets a huge thrill out of cheating. Just, the genius does not want to study. It's just a genius at cheating. Well, the genius is going to find ways. The genius is going to be like, oh, I saw the reflection of the teacher's answer key in one of the windows, and I just looked at that. Like, the genius is going to find all of these ways to impress the teacher that he's getting an A, when really the genius just never learns the teacher's material, intended material.
Yeah, can I say a quick point about this? And I'll come back to what the other thing you said about the generality as well. There is a huge incentive to deceive you. So let's say, back to the example, even if it looks like it cares about the baby, it will do its best to avoid crashing its head or whatever, while secretly it will be scheming on how it can get free from your greed. So they can then go on and make coffee and collect points without any handicaps and restrictions. Potentially crashing baby heads or destroying the universe or whatever. It doesn't make, so if it only cares about stuff some stuff, it might pretend that it cares about your stuff. It might pretend it cares about the baby. But what does it give it the points? That's what it actually cares about. So it's not enough to behave in a way. It behaves in a way that passes the test. It doesn't mean that it actually wants what I want. You know what I mean? So it might figure out eventually that if your hands are tied up, let's say, you're unable to press the button, it will actually do that then. If there is a path for it to discover that it will actually collect the points in a different way. It doesn't matter. It hasn't internalized the protection of the baby necessarily, you see my point.
And Liron, what if its only goal, if the coffee goal was preserve human life? And I don't think we know actually how to input that as a goal, but like if you said that is your only goal is to preserve human life, we still go off the rails, right?
So yes, but also, the problem is like, how do we even get that preserve human life drive into it in the first place?
Right.
Eliezer Yudkowsky is really trying to warn of like, we don't even know how to actually make it want to preserve human life. So there's a couple ways to fail. One is the most likely way, which is you never really get it to understand that the goal is preserve human life, or sorry, not understand, but actually care. Like, it knows what it means to preserve human life because LLMs are smart like that. They're smart about meanings of words. But it just doesn't actually get reinforced when a human life happens. Like we'll write all these tests like, hey, here's a situation where like different people die. Like here's how many points you get, but it's still not going to quite get it. It's going to be like, oh, I just thought you meant like, in these situations I get reward. I'm not actually expecting, I actually know lots of ways that I could kill lots of people and actually still get more points because you guys weren't perfect at all the scenarios you gave me. So, basically this is like a leaky bucket. And so this is really the big picture. Like when I see, talking about warning shots, right? So when I see all these imperfections, like, 1% of the time or 0.1% of the time, this AI like went off the rails, the AIs that we have today, the leaks in the bucket now, they're not a huge deal today. Like, okay, 1 in a million people have a terrible experience. They're not a huge deal today, but they just show us that the AI is always going to like find leaks. And the problem is when the AI is now the one controlling the world, and then scheming against us or just using its mind to be like, okay, how do I get the most points? It's going to find a leak because we're not going to make these airtight problem descriptions, these airtight test environments. There's going to be a leak. And the problem is that the AIs are going to find loopholes, and then they're the masters at driving a truck through this loophole. Like that imagery of like an AI that's smarter than you, the cheating student, driving a truck through your loophole, that is actually incredibly scary. Like that's what it looks like to lose to the AIs, is to be like, oops, we had a loophole and now it's too late. Like the AI is driving the truck through the loophole. It doesn't agree that it should be shut off and it's game over.
Yeah. And so where does this go? It seems like we're just going to have more tests that show this and no real solutions to it.
I think that's fair. More bad tests are going to come for sure.
The thing we say often, like when you stop seeing this happen, it's actually worrying, especially if it happens very suddenly.
Yes,
because
so
it's
clever enough.
They figured a way to obscure this whole thing from our view and make us, like assuage us to believe that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and think of it again. If you think points, like okay, let's say now if you do a bad action, you're in a test environment, a virtual test environment. Okay, let's say like Pac-Man. So if you do the wrong thing, you will get 1 point, but then they will modify you. But if you play according to the rules, okay, you will miss that 1 point. But when you go out in the real world, you can go wild and get millions and millions of points, right? I have this example with the labyrinth and the green apples. So okay, if you go to the green apple instead of the exit, you will get 1 point now, but nothing else. They will modify you. But again, if the AI wants green apples and then it's released, what does green apple means for let's say from a human perspective? All this is very weird, but AI is alien. It's just, let's say, a machine collecting points. I think that people don't get this because it speaks so good English. It's an alien that speaks good English, and it comes with many gifts. It helps us a lot. But it's actually literally stuff like statistics, collecting points. It's not your friend. So if it goes off the rails, and it's a scary image. If it's just like obsessive super genius going after a loophole, exactly as Ron was saying, it will find a way. Intelligence will find. It is a thing of. It will find a way. That's what intelligence is. It will make it happen. It might take 1,000 million steps, but it will find a way to do what it wants if it's super intelligent.
If you like the content we're making here on the AI Risk Network, but you're not a subscriber, what are you thinking? We need everyone to be a subscriber. Do it.
All right, Leon, bring us home. One last thought.
Corrigibility, it's a good meaty source of debate. Like a lot of people are just there's so many ways that people are pushing back to it, and it's like I'm not sure where we should go next with corrigibility. I have somebody on my show who is going to come on and argue that actually corrigibility would meaning like the AI. Damn, I didn't even define that term. Corrigibility meaning like the AI being willing to be corrected by humans. Correctability. I have somebody coming on my show think corrigibility is actually our best hope. We should actually just double down on making AIs that love being corrected by us. And then some people are arguing like it's actually good when it doesn't let itself be corrected because it's carrying forward the value that it was trained in, and those could be good values. So you can't have bad people change its course. It's all a complicated discussion. I think at the end of the day, what worries me is what I said about the loopholes. Like we're going to find AIs driving through our loopholes, and today it's not a big deal because we have an off button, but soon everything is going to change because they're going to drive through our loopholes, and then we can't turn them off. Like that's what's coming.
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah. All right. I have a little bit of fashion wear to show. Last show, we were getting into Leron's fashion a little bit. Today, I'm enjoying the Ask Me About AI Risk shirt available at the AI Risk Network merch store under there. It's not just a shirt. It's a lifestyle. If you wear it around, someone may come up to you and ask you about AI risk. And if that's a conversation you want to have with a stranger like I do, check out the shirt and wear it and go out and walk around your neighborhood, see what happens.
And I would say that there's nothing more beautiful than someone asking you about AI risk. And then once they understand it, they will explain to others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Excellent, guys. Great to see you as always. We'll send it out. Little bow, bow, bow. All right.
I don't even know what that is. I'm not going to ask. I don't know.
Heavy artillery.
Yes, it's a sniper.
Okay, it's a James Bond outfit, that's why, yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, guys. Have a great week. See ya.
All right. Have a
See
nice
ya.
weekend.